Have you ever paused long enough to feel that mysterious thread pulling someone into your life? Right when everything seems tangled beyond repair, it's as if the universe itself whispers, delivering a messenger cloaked in human form, sent not by chance but by divine design. That fleeting glance, that stranger who suddenly becomes your confidant, the unexpected presence that shifts your path. These are not random moments. They are purposeful intersections on the winding road of existence, orchestrated with profound meaning. In Buddhist wisdom, every encounter is a teacher, every face a reflection of lessons waiting to be embraced. Life's tapestry is embroidered with these purposeful meetings, each woven to awaken something within us: compassion, patience, understanding, or courage. Imagine your life as a vast, ever-changing garden where seeds are scattered by fate's gentle hand. Some seeds sprout swiftly, blooming into radiant flowers whose vibrant colors brighten your days. Though only briefly, others take root deeply, growing into steadfast trees that weather countless seasons by your side. Each person who enters your garden brings a unique essence, sometimes fragrance sweet, sometimes thorny to the touch. Those who wound us teach the art of resilience. Their sharp edges carve the contours of our inner strength. They push us into the unknown depths of our soul, forcing growth through discomfort. Meanwhile, the gentle souls who shelter us through life's tempests become our sanctuary, steady pillars amidst chaos, teaching us trust in the quiet power of presence. What if we looked at every meeting not as coincidence but as a sacred dialogue between destinies? Every conversation, every silence shared, holds a seed of transformation. Recognizing this turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. It changes how we see conflict and loss, not as punishments but as necessary crucibles refining our spirit. When we grasp the interconnectedness of all beings, we begin to cherish each encounter as a mirror reflecting parts of ourselves yet unseen, parts yearning for healing or awakening. This perspective demands courage. It asks us to shed judgment, to embrace uncertainty, and to surrender to the flow of life's lessons. From my experience, it is in the painful separations and betrayals that I have found the deepest growth. The wounds inflicted by others, though agonizing, have cracked open spaces within me for empathy I never knew existed. They unveiled the fragile, tender core beneath the armor of certainty. Conversely, the rare souls who stand unwavering through storms become reminders of the sacred trust we can place in connection. Their presence anchors us, teaches us that vulnerability is strength and that love can be an unbreakable force. These are the fixed stars in our personal night skies, guiding us when all else feels lost. To journey through life with awareness of these meaningful encounters is to walk the path of awakening itself. It is to see that no meeting is trivial, no goodbye meaningless. Each is a thread in the vast web binding us all, threads spun with intention, compassion, and infinite possibility. When we embrace this, we stop fearing the unexpected and begin to welcome every visitor in our lives as a catalyst for transformation. A messenger of the soul, life ceases to be a series of random events and becomes a sacred pilgrimage, a dance between fate and free will. Guided by the silent wisdom of purposeful meetings, this understanding is not just philosophy, it is an invitation to live deeply, love fiercely, and grow endlessly. There is a delicate dance between compassion and interference, a fine line where the heart's desire to help can unknowingly become a chain that binds rather than a bridge that frees. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that to truly help, We must first discern when our presence is a gift and when it becomes an intrusion. Imagine rushing into a storm to rescue someone without them calling out. Your hands may steady the boat for a moment, but you may also steal the storm's lesson, the very crucible forging their strength. It is here, in this sacred tension, that patience becomes a radical act of love. Our urge to solve another's pain instantly often stems from discomfort with their suffering. A natural human impulse to fix what we see as broken. But suffering is not a problem to be erased hastily. It is a profound teacher. When we intervene too soon or too forcefully, we risk undermining the natural unfolding of growth that only struggle can cultivate. Each soul's path is woven with unique threads of karma, a complex interplay of cause and effect that no outsider can fully comprehend or safely manipulate. To force aid is to disrupt a balance that the universe has carefully arranged, sometimes with consequences invisible to our immediate eyes. I recall a story that haunted me long after I first heard it. Two friends bound by trust in history. One, moved by silent desperation, secretly paid off the other's debts, hoping to ease his burden. The gesture, born of kindness, shattered the delicate equilibrium of their friendship. The friend who received the help felt stripped of dignity and opportunity, robbed of the chance to confront and learn from his own mistakes. The act, though wrapped in goodwill, planted a fissure of detachment that widened with time. This story is not just a cautionary tale but a mirror reflecting the complexity of human connection and the fine art of knowing when to step back. Buddha's teachings shine clearly here. Suffering is sacred. It is the forge in which resilience, wisdom, and compassion itself are tempered. No shortcut, no unsolicited rescue can replace the internal alchemy triggered by facing hardship and emerging transformed. Patience is not passive waiting but a fierce respect for the autonomy and timing of others' growth. True compassion doesn't impose, it waits, listens, and responds only when called upon. It honors free will as the soil from which genuine transformation blooms. In this light, helping becomes a sacred dialogue, a partnership where we offer support without control, presence without pressure. It challenges us to confront our own discomfort with uncertainty and to embrace the humility that says, "I cannot walk your path for you, but I will stand by when you choose to call me." This stance requires courage, the courage to resist the illusion of omnipotence that tempts us to fix everything, to carry every burden, to erase every pain. It demands a deep trust in the mysterious unfolding of life's lessons, even when that means witnessing others struggle, stumble, and sometimes fail. This understanding has reshaped my own encounters. I've learned that stepping back is not withdrawal but a profound form of solidarity. It is a way of saying, "I believe in your strength, even when you doubt it." It allows the raw power of suffering to do its work, transforming pain into wisdom, weakness into resilience. In stepping back, we often give the greatest gift, space for authentic growth, the freedom to rise on one's own wings. The sacred balance between help and distance is a dance we must learn, a path we walk with humility and grace, honoring that each soul's journey unfolds in its own time, under its own sky. There is a harsh truth hidden beneath the surface of human connection. Some who cross our paths carry shadows that threaten to dim our inner light. These are not villains from a storybook but people whose presence corrodes our mental sanctuary with subtle, insidious energy. Recognizing toxic energy is an act of survival, a fierce declaration that our peace is sacred and non-negotiable. It's easy to mistake such people as simply difficult or challenging. But the harm they bring runs deeper, seeping into our thoughts, emotions, and very sense of self. Toxicity wears many masks. Manipulation that twists reality into a weapon. Empathy feigned only to serve selfish ends. A relentless thirst for conflict that stirs chaos. And control so suffocating it steals our freedom of choice. I have witnessed this corrosive force in relationships I once treasured. Moments when the line between love and damage blurred dangerously. The manipulator's words felt like velvet wrapped around a dagger. Promises whispered with ulterior motives lurking beneath. Empathy was a mirror reflecting only their needs, never truly seeing or valuing the other. Conflict was their currency, stoking fires where peace should have reigned, draining energy until exhaustion claimed victory. The worst was the control so subtle it became invisible until one realized they had become a puppet dancing to someone else's tune. These are not just behaviors, they are assaults on the soul's sanctity. Yet, understanding the roots of such toxicity requires more than rejection, it demands empathy. Often, toxic energy springs from deep wounds, fears, and insecurities that have twisted a person's spirit into a survival mechanism. To recognize this is not to excuse their actions but to remind ourselves that compassion does not mean self-sacrifice. We can acknowledge pain without allowing it to dictate our boundaries. The key lies in discerning where empathy ends and self-preservation begins. Setting boundaries is not an act of cruelty but an act of fierce love for oneself. It is drawing a line in the sand, a silent vow to guard the sanctity of our mental and emotional space. Saying no, walking away, or simply limiting exposure becomes a form of armor that shields us from erosion. This protection is essential because inner peace is not a fragile luxury. It is the foundation from which we engage the world, create, love, and grow. Without it, we are adrift, vulnerable to storms we need not weather. Personally, I've learned that protecting peace sometimes means making hard choices, including distancing from those we once hoped to help or save. It's a painful realization that some energies cannot be healed by proximity or good intentions. And this is where true courage lives, in choosing ourselves over toxicity. In honoring our worth above the chaos others bring. It is not selfishness but wisdom born of experience. A declaration that our soul's light will not be dimmed. In this journey, the awareness of toxic energy sharpens like a blade forged by trial. It teaches us to listen to the subtle alarms within, unease that whispers, tension that lingers after an encounter, the exhaustion that is more than physical. Trusting these signals is trusting our deepest self, the guardian of our peace. When we do, we reclaim the power to curate our circle, to welcome only those whose presence nourishes rather than depletes. This sacred choice is the ultimate act of self-respect and the truest form of compassion, not just for others, but for the sanctuary within us that deserves to flourish unscathed. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as a surrender or weakness, but in truth, it is the fiercest act of courage the human spirit can muster. It is not a single moment of saying, "I forgive," but a relentless journey of entangling ourselves from the grip of past wounds that refuse to fade. I have seen forgiveness become a battlefield where pride, pain, and fear clash violently within. The merchant's insult to the Buddha is not merely a tale from ancient texts but a mirror reflecting the modern struggle we all face. To respond to cruelty with grace rather than retaliation. Holding onto anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. It is a slow self-destruction disguised as justice. Forgiveness demands we confront the rawness of our pain without denial or minimization. It calls us to sit with the hurt, acknowledge the depth of betrayal or offense, and choose liberation over imprisonment in bitterness. This choice is seismic. It shakes the foundations of our identity because it asks us to release the story that defines us as victims. Yet, in letting go, we reclaim our power. Forgiveness does not erase what happened. It transforms how we carry it. The chains that once bound us become threads weaving resilience and wisdom into our being. I have wrestled with forgiveness myself, realizing it is less about the other person and more about healing my own fractured soul. It is the gradual unraveling of resentment's tight hold, the moment-by-moment decision to soften the heart despite echoes of pain. This does not mean forgetting or inviting the same harm again, but choosing to no longer be a prisoner to the past. Forgiveness opens a space where peace can seep in, where growth can flourish. It is a revolutionary act of self-love that elevates us beyond cycles of hurt and retaliation. The practice of forgiveness stretches beyond the individual. It ripples through our relationships and communities, inviting a deeper compassion that transcends judgment. It challenges us to see the flaw of humanity in others and in ourselves, recognizing that we all carry burdens that distort our actions. Forgiveness becomes a bridge, fragile yet powerful, connecting broken hearts and restoring fractured trust. It is the light that shines through the cracks of brokenness, illuminating the path to wholeness. In Buddhist thought, forgiveness is intertwined with compassion, the understanding that those who harm often suffer unseen wounds themselves. This does not excuse their actions but invites a profound empathy that softens anger without compromising justice. Forgiveness is a conscious decision to refuse the poison of hatred, choosing instead the healing balm of release. It is an ongoing practice, sometimes requiring years or even a lifetime, but its fruits are immeasurable: freedom from suffering, clarity of mind, and a heart unburdened by bitterness. Ultimately, forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves, a liberation from the prison of past hurts. It transforms us, awakening a higher consciousness where compassion for others and self coexist in harmony. To forgive is to reclaim our light, shining fiercely in a world too often shadowed by pain. It is the alchemy of turning wounds into wisdom, suffering into strength, and anger into peace. Kindness wears a radiant cloak, but beneath its glow can hide a shadow few dare to acknowledge, the shadow where goodness turns into self-sacrifice, and generosity becomes a cage. The ancient tale of the cherry tree village is a stark reminder that without balance, kindness can drain the very source it springs from. The tree, once lush and bountiful, was starved by those who took relentlessly, blinded by entitlement or desperation, forgetting that to give without receiving is to drain life itself. This story resonates deeply with the modern human condition. How often do we pour ourselves into others until we are hollowed out? Invisible to the world we strive so hard to nurture. I have walked this perilous path of excessive kindness, where saying yes became a reflex and self-care a forgotten whisper. The heart, generous by nature, can easily become a battleground where boundaries are trampled underfoot. Each act of giving, when untempered by wisdom, chips away at the soul's fortress until exhaustion and resentment rise like uninvited shadows. This is not a failure of compassion but a failure to honor the sacred balance between self and other. Extreme kindness, when unchecked, becomes fertile ground for exploitation, where others harvest our energy like ripe fruit. Unaware or uncaring of the damage left behind, there is a brutal honesty in admitting that being too good can harm you. Society often applauds the martyr, the endlessly giving soul, yet rarely celebrates the one who protects their own well-being with fierce love. Saying no is not a betrayal of kindness, it is an act of profound respect for the self. Without this boundary, generosity morphs into codependency, and kindness into obligation, stripping joy from giving and leaving only fatigue. I have learned that kindness is not a limitless well but a sacred river that must flow with intention and care. When we refuse to guard the banks of this river, it floods, washing away the ground beneath us and those we aim to nourish. True generosity is a dance between openness and discernment. It invites us to give with a full heart while maintaining awareness of our limits. Setting boundaries is an act of courage, a radical statement that our value is not measured by how much we sacrifice but by how authentically we engage with others. Boundaries create space where kindness can thrive sustainably, allowing us to support without losing ourselves. In this space, giving transforms from draining obligation to a vibrant exchange that nourishes all involved. In my own journey, the hardest lessons came from realizing that unchecked kindness can mask fear. Fear of rejection, of conflict, or of being unloved. This fear propels us into overgiving, hoping to secure connection at the cost of self-erasure. Yet, true kindness is fearless. It knows that love and respect are not earned through sacrifice but through authenticity. The power lies not in endless giving but in giving wisely, choosing when to open the heart fully and when to protect it fiercely. The dark side of kindness is a cautionary tale but also an invitation to awaken to the full spectrum of compassion, including for ourselves. To be truly kind, we must first be kind to the self, recognizing that our well-being is the fertile soil from which generosity blooms. Only then can our kindness become a force that uplifts, heals, and endures. A light that shines without burning out, a tree whose fruit feeds many without losing its roots. There is a chilling reality few want to confront. Sometimes, people cross into our lives not as allies but as predators cloaked in familiar faces. These individuals, driven by jealousy, resentment, or darker impulses, seek to unravel our very being. The danger lies in their subtlety, in the way their actions can erode our foundations piece by piece before we even realize the battle has begun. Recognizing the signs is not paranoia but a vital skill, a shield forged in awareness and tempered by wisdom. Manipulation is their weapon, twisting truths and spinning webs of deception that distort reality and make us question our own judgment. Destructive criticism falls like relentless rain, each unwarranted attack chipping away at our self-worth until we become hollow echoes of ourselves. I have seen how social isolation becomes a cruel tactic. Those who wish to destroy us often aim to sever the bonds that nourish our spirit, driving wedges between us and the support systems that sustain us. This isolation breeds vulnerability, making us easy targets for defamation, where false rumors are whispered and shouted, staining reputations crafted with years of effort. Sabotage lurks in the shadows, undermining opportunities, twisting chances for success into traps designed to ensnare and diminish. The invasion goes deeper still: privacy violation and espionage, where secrets are stolen, weaknesses observed, all to weaponize our vulnerabilities against us. The terrifying crescendo arrives when threats turn physical, when intimidation and aggression become tools of terror wielded to silence and control. This dark side is ruthless and relentless, but it thrives only when we remain unaware or isolated. The path to protection demands vigilance, cultivating strong, trustworthy relationships that act as bulwarks against these shadows. Integrity becomes our armor, a steadfast commitment to truth that no manipulation can fracture. Personally, I have faced moments where these forces converged, where I felt the suffocating grip of someone bent on dismantling my light. It was in those moments that awareness became my lifeline, the ability to name the tactics, to see through the masks, to reclaim my power. Protection is not about building walls that shut out the world but about cultivating discernment, creating circles of trust, and standing firm in our values. It requires a fierce love for oneself that refuses to be diminished, a resilience that turns wounds into wisdom. The battle against those who seek to destroy is as much internal as external. It calls us to nurture inner strength, to guard our mental and emotional sanctuaries with uncompromising resolve. It asks us to confront fear without surrender, to speak truth in the face of lies, and to choose courage over silence. In this struggle, we discover the extraordinary capacity of the human spirit to endure, to shine brighter amidst darkness, and to emerge not broken but reborn. Recognizing the signs is the first step, but the true power lies in response. By surrounding ourselves with allies who uplift rather than undermine, by maintaining unwavering integrity, and by listening to the quiet voice within that knows when something is amiss, we protect the sacred light inside. This light is our essence, our truth, the beacon that guides us through the darkest storms. Those who seek to destroy us may be fierce, but our awareness, connection, and strength are fiercer still, an unyielding force that no shadow can extinguish. In a world obsessed with quantity, the number of followers, likes, and superficial connections, the true value of friendship is often lost in the noise. I have witnessed the emptiness that comes with a crowded circle lacking depth, where the abundance of faces masks a profound loneliness. True friendship is not measured by how many names fill your contact list but by the souls that resonate with yours in an unspoken language of trust and understanding. It is the quiet presence of someone who sees beyond your masks, who holds space for your vulnerabilities without judgment, and whose support remains unwavering through life's tempests. Having fewer friends is not a limitation but a liberation. It frees us from the exhausting charade of pretending, the endless effort to please or perform, and the emotional toll of shallow interactions. In my experience, investing in a handful of genuine friendships is like tending a sacred garden, each relationship nurtured with care, patience, and authenticity blossoms into a source of profound joy and solace. These friendships become sanctuaries where we can express our true selves without fear, share our deepest joys and sorrows, and find a mirror reflecting our best and worst with unconditional acceptance. The energy we pour into maintaining these meaningful connections is not wasted but amplified, creating bonds resilient enough to weather distance, time, and life's inevitable changes. Unlike fleeting acquaintances, these friendships do not demand constant proximity or endless communication to remain vital. They survive in the spaces between meetings, in the heartfelt messages sent across miles, and in the silent knowing that someone holds your well-being as dearly as their own. Such relationships are a fortress against life's storms, a source of strength when all else feels fragile, Solitude often gets misunderstood as loneliness, but in truth, it is a fertile ground for self-discovery and spiritual growth. I have found that the moments spent alone, away from the clamor of social expectations, allow us to reconnect with our inner voice, clarify our values, and cultivate a deeper compassion, not only for others but for ourselves. It is in solitude that we learn to be our own best companion, preparing us to engage more authentically and meaningfully with the world and the friendships we cherish. Choosing quality over quantity in friendships demands courage in a society that equates social success with popularity. It means embracing the discomfort of saying no to superficial ties and investing wholeheartedly in connections that nourish the soul. This choice often leads to pruning toxic or draining relationships, a painful but necessary act to make space for genuine bonds. In this process, we reclaim our emotional energy and protect the sacred space within where true friendship can flourish. Personally, I have come to treasure the few friendships that have endured trials, distance, and silence because they represent the essence of human connection, the rare meeting of hearts willing to journey together through life's complexities. These friendships teach us that happiness is not found in numbers but in moments of authentic presence, in shared laughter and tears, and in the unwavering knowledge that we are not alone. They are reminders that the deepest support often comes not from a crowd but from a single soul who chooses to stand beside us, no matter what. Life unfolds as an intricate dance of connection, compassion, and self-respect, each step revealing deeper truths about who we are and who we choose to become. This journey is neither smooth nor simple. It is a wild terrain of encounters that test our hearts, stretch our souls, and demand courage beyond measure. To embrace this path is to accept that every person who crosses our way carries a lesson woven in their presence, sometimes a gift, sometimes a challenge, always an opportunity to grow. It is a call to live with eyes wide open, discerning when to reach out with a helping hand and when to step back and honor another's struggle. This balance is the art of wisdom, one that guards our peace without hardening our compassion. I have learned that protecting our inner sanctuary from toxic energies is not a retreat but a sacred act of self-love. It requires fierce boundaries and gentle understanding, a paradox only the brave can hold. Forgiveness, too, is no simple gesture. It is a daily practice of liberation, unshackling ourselves from the chains of bitterness and reclaiming the freedom to love again. Kindness, when rooted in self-respect, becomes a wellspring of strength rather than depletion. It teaches us that giving is not about losing but about honoring the sacred balance between ourselves and others. Friendship, in this light, shines not by numbers but by the depth of genuine connection. The few souls who walk beside us with unwavering presence are treasures beyond measure. And solitude, often misunderstood, is the quiet forge where wisdom, resilience, and self-awareness are born. It is in these silent moments that we rediscover our essence, preparing us to engage the world with authenticity and grace. This tapestry of lessons, timeless and profound, is the heartbeat of Buddhist wisdom, inviting us to live fully, consciously, and courageously, to embrace connection without losing self, to extend compassion without surrendering our boundaries, and to journey boldly into the complexity of human relationships with open hearts. If this message has stirred something within you, if it has sparked a flicker of insight or comfort, I invite you to share this journey. like, share, and comment below. Your engagement helps nurture a community where wisdom and kindness flourish. Subscribe to stay connected with content that honors your spirit and deepens your understanding of life's beautiful complexities. Together, let us walk this path with courage and compassion, lighting the way not just for ourselves but for all who seek meaning in connection.